Southern California Military Academy. Here is the city council. In the middle is William Stovall, which he's in the middle, and then to the bottom left is Papadakis, and then Beebe, and then Denham in the middle, and then the last one is Miller. And Stovall was mayor for 2 years, from 1970 to 1972, and the mayor before him was Denham as well for a few years before him. Here are some of the programs that were initiated during the 1970s, which was the Signal Hill $100 million Community Improvement Council, and they specifically focused on community development and progress. There was also the construction of 5 miles of water and sewer lines, and they also wanted to improve the police department. So there was a lot more initiatives that were listed, but these were just a few that I highlighted. And so City Council established and organized the Community Improvement Council, and to the left is a proclamation which we have in our archives, the actual document. And they stated that the quote is, "It should be the goal of every citizen in our community to make our city more storage tanks, and approximately 5 miles of oil field lines, any new production facilities must meet rigid standards of design and operation compatible with the surrounding areas of development. And so they were really having stricter guidelines when it comes to the oil rigs, and just trying to clear out all the areas that had the broken ones as well. And so here's another article, Signal Hill Tribune, which talked about the unsafe oil field conditions, and that they stated there was a 3-phase program to correct these hazardous violations. Here is the first phase, which was the commercial development, as we can see on the left. In the middle is the industrial development, and then on the right is the residential development.
Natalie, can I just point something out here? So the top left photo, the Gemco, that's the target today.
Okay, thank you. So here is an example of the commercial development, and to the left, as you can see, there's debris within the oil field, and they cleared it out and then established the new business, which was the electric motors after the 1970s. So this is facing the hill before 1970s, and as you can see, there's 2 oil rigs by the road. And after the 1970s, they removed the oil rigs, and now you can see there's a completely different view of the hill itself.
What street do you think that is?
Yeah, north to the hill. And then finally is the residential development, and so just like the oil rigs were corroding, they were also looking at people's homes, and if they were worn out or falling apart, you would receive a correction notice from the city, this red one. And they would list out the different violations, and then you would have to resolve those as well. So that was just a different way. And now, shifting gears. So, as we all know, there's a specific street in Signal Hill that is very popular, which is known as the Hill and Temple Street, which last month we were talking about the Model T races going up the hill. And so a group of skateboarders dared the impossible during this time, and David will go into detail about that. Thank you, and that concludes my portion of the
Thank you, Natalie. So, hello everybody again. So, I'm going to be talking about the Signal Hill speed run, mainly went from 1975 to 1978. So, one of the most iconic streets in Signal Hill is the corner of Temple and Hill Street. On this corner, some famous events were the discovery of oil back in 1921 and the Model T races that ran for a couple of decades. However, in 1970s, a group of skateboarders changed the course of Signal Hill history. There were always kids who went skateboarding in Signal Hill. However, Hill Street was that hill that brought skateboarders from all over as a challenge. Signal Hill was the first downhill skateboard race, and pretty much every aspect of current downhill skateboarding started here. A short list of innovations from Signal Hill would include air braking, the hut tuck, the first woman downhill skateboard race, the first street luge race, the first skate car, the first sliding gloves, and many more. The man responsible for making skateboarding famous in Signal Hill was James O. Mahoney. In 1975, the producers from the TV show, the Guinness Book of World Records called on Mahoney, and who was the head of the U.S. Skateboard Association, to find a place to shoot a skateboarding event for the show. O'Mahony thought of Hill Street right away. O'Mahony told the producers he could create a downhill skateboard race on a steep Sickles Hill incline bordered by the oil fields. Before the race started, O'Mahony got insurance, had the police block off the streets, and got a permit from Sickles Hill Chambers of Commerce. As a child, growing up in Long Beach, O'Mahony begged his parents to drive fast over the steepest section of Hill Street that mimicked the feeling of a roller coaster. By saying, "Go faster, Dad, faster." Our next skater is Guy Gundry. He was one of the first pioneers in the downhill skateboarding racing. In 1961, he started skateboarding at the age of 8. Gundry created his own skateboard from his sister's roller skates. He nailed the skates to a 2x4 with a carpet stapled to the top. Gundry took his love of skiing and surfing to use for his stance and tuck on his skateboard. Gundry had the unofficial speed of 65 miles per hour going downhill. He even created his own helmet as well. Cliff Coleman. Cliff has been skateboarding since the 1960s. Coleman would teach other skaters how to slide stop and save yourself from crashing. In 1978, Coleman came in 4th place at the speed of 51.05 miles per hour. And in these two pictures is his skateboard that he had used back in 1978. And the top where mostly the sponsors he had was Santa Cruz. And then in the back of it, he signed the skateboard and marking Signal Hill 4th place, 1978, and his miles per hour at 51.05. Henry Hester. In 1959, he started skateboarding with homemade board with steel wheels. Hester pioneered the modern slalom, racing on the hills of La Costa, California. In 1977, Hester secured back-to-back World Slalom Championships by winning 1st place at the Free Former World Championships in Akron, Ohio. What you see here is White Lightning was his vehicle that he had built and he owned. In 1977, Hester tied for 1st place in the notorious skate car division at Signal Hill. He clocked in at an impressive 57 miles per hour while hurtling down the hill. In 1978, he earned 2nd place with a speed of 59.27 miles per hour. Leslie Jo Ritzma. At the age of 7, she started skateboarding. In the 2nd grade, Ritzma made her own skateboard from roller skates. The roller skates wheels were actually nailed onto a 2x4. At the age of 20, Ritzma wanted to enter the downhill Signal Hill races. However, many people told her it was too dangerous for a woman to do. So, Ritzma appealed the decision for her to race with the woman. So she went to the Women's Equal Action League in Washington, and she also got the CBS Sports Spectacular to help put the pressure on the skateboard organizers to allow women to compete. Ritzma's downhill time was clocked at 51 miles per hour, which put skiing and surfing. Before she came to Signal Hill to skateboard down the hill, she competed at the Huntington Pier City Contest, where she came in second place for the slalom run, and she also was at the Magic Mountain Masters Women's Slalom, where she came in third place. When she came to do the Signal Hill races in 1978, she was sponsored by the Free Former Skateboards, and she had a clock the fastest speed for the women's division at 57.69 miles per hour in the skate car class. However, after the finish line, she actually crashed into a pole because of mechanical problems with her skate car. At the scene, they had to revive her, and she ended up breaking her wrist, her ribs, and they actually removed the lung. And as we can see there, she was very talented in doing her gymnastics on a skateboard. The Signal Hill skateboard life. In the Signal Hill speed runs were the precursors of the X Games that we have today, and gave skateboard daredevils a chance to show their stuff. The picture on the left was a car that was picked up all the racers and brought them back up the hill, and they just all piled on. And the picture on the left was actually some of the skateboarders walking up the hill. And as you see the picture on the left, on the right, it looks so empty compared to today. It looks like Verdun was like so far away. Facing the end of the Signal Hill speed run. Despite a large net at the bottom of the hill to protect the skaters and the spectators, and they also sometimes put haystacks at the bottom of the hill, there were a series of crashes which made the city take away the permit for the speed run because it was ruled too dangerous to go on. Unfortunately, the large field of untested skate car entries led to many crashes. At one point, so many ambulances had driven skateboarders to the hospital that the speed run had to be delayed until another ambulance was in. Well, it was in place for the next person who had crashed. And here's a story. One of the racers, he came down, he crashed through the hay bundles that was there. He ended up going on Redondo. He got hit by one car, got dragged into another car. They brought him by ambulance to the hospital, and there was another car crash, so they just ignored him to take care of the other patient. So he checked himself out of the hospital, drank some hard liquor, and went back and did it again with broken bones.
Oh,
So, besides the skateboarders, we had skate cars. The skate cars are probably the most unique aspect of the Signal Hill speed run. It was created solely for the Signal Hill speed run. They had, in these cars, they had lean steering like a skateboard and used skateboard wheels, but also shared the design elements with motorcycles and Formula One cars. And if you look in this picture, you can see that the skateboarder was kind of like a luge, like in the Olympics and stuff, that he was down low, and the person behind them was giving him that push start, and they have to like run really fast and push them off. picture on the right just shows an example of what a skate car was. So the skateboarder would line the platform right there, and then they would lift the other part over, and it would just hang on for dear life. And here's two more examples of the skate cars.
Yeah.
This was also on Temple.
The signal of the water department, I was looking at that tank.
Yeah, because if you look on this picture, those are the same ones right there. I'm not sure, but does anyone know?
Temple and Hill on that sign.
Yeah. Does anyone know when they had gone down? They took out the tanks.
There's some over there still on the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
The ones at the top of the hill are gone.
Yeah, there's a
sometime
lot, yeah.
80s or something.
Yeah.
So here is a picture of Hill Street in the 70s and a picture of Hill Street today. The main point of what's missing in the picture is they added the bushes in down the middle. But I wonder if they would still have crazy skateboarders who still try to do that hill today.
They still do it. Yeah, all the time.
Yeah. So in 2013, they decided they made a documentary about the Signal Hill speed run. So there were two gentlemen who were the creators of the documentary. The first was Mike Horlick, and the second was John Carney. While working on the history of the tunnel, we uncovered these were them talking, many beautiful photographs of the skateboarding in the 70s. Among these were some great shots of Bobby Smith, the Signal Hill speed run, the world's first downhill skateboarding race. This had inspired us to write an article called Bored Out of Our Minds, and article was in the LA Times. It also served as the basis for the feature-length documentary. At first, we realized that this was such an amazing story, and they wanted to do a short documentary, but they got so much information and so much artifacts and pictures, they decided we're not going to do a short documentary, we're actually going to do a feature-length film. So the premiere was at Cal State Long Beach. On the right was Tina T, and on the left was Tina T, and the picture on the right were the main skateboarders from the 1970s. Here's another picture of the skateboarders as they're older, and they're looking up the hill. So now we're going to take a look at the trailer. It's a short clip from the 2013 documentary. Second.
Starting in 1975, a ragtag group of surfers, skateboarders, hang gliders, and hot rod mechanics started meeting at a steep drop of roughly paved asphalt, appropriately named Hill Street.
They started calling us up. What can you give us? Well, I'll give you a speed run right off the bat, and Signal Hill, and that's the place.
Chasing a prize that wouldn't come close to covering medical expenses, they dropped over the steep precipice on primitive skateboards. Technology took over as teams created enclosed, streamlined gravity vehicles, skate cars.
I think the first inkling anybody
this thing down. Wow, this is really not that great. Hold on, round up ambulances in the city.
Gone. Disappears.
It was the scariest thing I'd ever seen in my life.
Barriers were broken, records were broken, bones were broken.
So, if anybody,
Giants Mountain Slalom Racing speed their way to the Black Hills in San Diego. My name's Henry Hester. I am a 1976 and 75 slalom champion. My name's Bob Skolberg. Currently,
okay, so if anybody wants to watch the documentary, it is on the Red Bull app, and it's free of charge. And then coming up in the near future, we're gonna start have it online through the library. I saw the movie and it's really good.
Really bloody.
Coming soon.
I did. Yeah, because I hit. So the Signal Hill speed run has impacted modern skateboarding and paved the way for various skateboarding techniques. The stand-up air braking, the street luge, laying down on the skateboard, the tuck, the cutback, the downhill sliding, inspired by the surfings. And to this day, you can still see skateboarders by the beach, and I'm originally from New Jersey. I wish I lived at this time, though I lived here to actually see these races, and I'm sorry that I couldn't see these. So, we're gonna take a tour of the history exhibit, but if anybody has any questions, feel free.
I just have a comment, seeing all this, when you watch the Winter Olympics, they had all those people on all those events,
Definitely,
the
because
slalom races.
some
Yes,
of
it really started a big thing.
the skateboarders, it was Guy Gundry. He was actually a skier, and he also was he loved to surf. So if you see some of the things where they've been down like this, is they're taking from the skiers, because sometimes they want to get that as low as possible for
Skateboarding.
that
Didn't
speed.
get lucky. Because it would have been cool then.
In early 19, like 1991, 92, it was actually on Temple when it was more a hill.
Yeah.
They had the little cars, the kids, what cars were those?
Those are remote cars.
Huh?
Remote cars.
Go-karts.
Cars.
Yes, we did it for a couple of years. I belonged to a group called the Committee of 300, we're associated with the Grand Prix. And we came out and put that on for a couple of years on that hill, when it was a hill. Yeah.
I did speak to some of the old skateboarders. Some of the crazy things they did was, one guy went